the girl discovered that her best friend, who was pregnant, was rushed for emergency treatment due to massive bleeding. In her hand, she was holding the Buddhist beads that her uncle never parted with. At that moment, the girl learned that the man who having sex with her best friend turned out to be her billionaire CEO uncle. She immediately ran home to tell her uncle, saying that her best friend was carrying his child. Now, with her best friend's fate uncertain, she hoped he would go to rescue her. The CEO coldly stated that it was standard industry practice for a woman to work for money. The girl explained to her uncle that she had made a mistake. Her best friend was not the woman she had arranged for him that night. It turns out that 8 months ago, in order to fulfill the task assigned by her grandmother, the girl arranged for her uncle to have a child as soon as possible. She secretly lit aphrodisiac incense in her uncle's room, and arranged a woman for him in advance. Sure enough, before long, her uncle began to feel his whole body become feverish. He immediately realized that his niece had been behind it. At that moment, a delivery woman happened to come to the CEO with a cake. The CEO mistakenly took the woman to be the one his niece had arranged for him. Ultimately, the two inadvertently had sex. Afterward, the CEO gave the woman a check for $10 million as compensation. The woman took the check and turned to leave. 8 months later, the girl, while helping her best friend, who was about to give birth, down the stairs, simultaneously angrily declared that if she ever discovered who the child's father was, she would definitely not let that man off easily. At that moment, her uncle drove up to pick her up and take her home. In this way, the woman passed by the CEO. The woman, in order to gather enough money for tuition and delivery expenses, continued to deliver takeout while heavily pregnant for 8 months. Even the customers could no longer bear it, saying that if they had known she was pregnant, they wouldn't have had her deliver to the upper floors. After saying that, they did not fail to angrily complain about how unreliable men were these days. Just as the woman was about to deliver her next order, a sudden sharp pain struck her stomach. She quickly took out her phone and called her brother, hoping he would take her to the hospital. Her brother and sister-in-law were so engrossed in the stock market that they didn't even notice her call. She eventually fainted from the pain. Fortunately, someone took her to the hospital. After learning of the situation, the girl hurried over immediately. She encouraged the woman to stay strong, while also angrily vowing that if she ever found out the identity of this irresponsible man, she would make sure he suffered. At the very last moment before the woman was pushed into the operating room, she shoved a pearl into the girl's hand. When the girl came to her senses, she discovered that it was, in fact, the Buddhist beads that her uncle never parted with. Thus, the scene from the beginning of the video unfolded. The girl ran home, claiming that the woman was carrying her uncle's child. The CEO had always assumed that the woman was the one his niece had found to sleep with him, but he never expected to learn that it was all a misunderstanding until he heard his niece's account. At that moment, an assistant also came over, saying that the check had not been cashed. Realizing he had wronged the woman, the CEO felt deeply remorseful. He immediately dispatched a helicopter to the hospital. Little did he know that, at that very moment, the woman was alone in the delivery room awaiting childbirth. Although the child had no father, the woman was determined to ensure that the baby was born safely no matter what. Suddenly, her brother and sister-in-law burst through the door. Upon seeing her unmarried pregnancy, her brother angrily scolded her for shamelessly bringing disgrace to the entire family. She was about to explain when her sister-in-law dragged her off the bed, demanding to know who the child's father was.